In our teachings, we have a covenant with the Creator and the covenant with the natural world. We are responsible for things. We take care of our relatives. We only take what we need and we leave the rest. We're mindful. We don't cause waste. And we're grateful. And so I approach this plant in that same way. And the lack of that gratitude has cost us greatly. And I feel that that plant can help us undo the mess that we've made, but we have to approach it right. You know, because we will get nowhere if we continue with the same aggressive industrial behavior. We will get nowhere.
Simply tell us what hemp is?
Hemp is the plant Cannabis sativa, and it's a plant.
Okay.
Do you want something deep?
No,
It's just a plant.
Well, hemp is a plant, of course, so it has limitations like all plants do, but if you compare it with many other plants, it has some properties that make it stand out.
Industrial hemp is a species or variety of cannabis that contains less than 0.3% THC.
How is it different from marijuana?
Oh, gosh. It's not the same at all. You will not get high if you smoke hemp, I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, cousins to each other, you know, it's like the difference between popcorn and sweet corn.
They're cousins. Obviously the plants look the same, they smell the same, which is what got them in trouble in the first place. But hemp doesn't have the psychoactive properties that marijuana does.
Marijuana currently has up to 25 to 30% THC content, and that's the chemical compound, the psychoactive compound that gets you high.
Cannabis is like breeds of dogs.
I like to say it's a pit bull and a poodle.
You've got your tiny Chihuahuas and you've got your large Great Danes.
They're both dogs, but they're two completely different genetic animals.
It's been called the plant over 50,000 uses because you can use every part of the hemp plant for something.
Well, they say there's 50,000 different uses, but I might beg to differ on that. Okay, 25,000 different uses. The number one use right now is CBD oil in America. Now there's 24,999 left. And so we'll start backwards from CBD and we'll go plastics, oil.
Fiberboard, hemp concrete, hemp insulation, hemp carpets.
The list goes on and on and on.
Essentially, your entire house could be made out of hemp materials.
You know, you plant the seed, and in roughly, 3 months, 4 months later, you have food, you have fiber for housing and clothing, you have oil. You could replace petroleum, run your car off of this. You could eat that oil. It's safe enough to eat and run your car on it. It's so high in omega-3s, omega-9s and 6s, it's a superfood.
It's something that you can make just about anything from, and it's a crop of the future.
We know that hemp has 3 times the tensile strength of cotton. We know that hemp is antimicrobial. We know that you can make almost anything out of hemp.
I think that the thing that I'm really the most excited about with this plant is the impact that it can have on our soils.
The hemp plant will uptake, chemicals and metals within 1 season.
In 5 or 4 months, it can be bigger than a person, and it can have stems this size. So that already makes hemp very attractive for environmental cleanup.
This plant can help take damaged land that's out of circulation and rehabilitate it.
Phytoremediation. Phyto is plants and remediation is to solve a problem. So it's using plants to solve a problem of pollution.
Soil health is kind of a big deal, right? Wasn't it? Wendell Berry's wrote that it's the connector of all things in life. I mean, it's where we all start. So I think I get most excited about what it could mean for our soils if we start integrating it into crop rotations in a responsible and respectful manner. It has the potential to capture carbon, to reduce our entire agriculture footprint. So it's probably not the sexiest thing, but I guess that's just because I'm a dirt farmer.
It's so interesting. A lot of people didn't know that you grow clothing and that you grow fiber. That's a new concept to a lot of folks. Our goal is to make clothes that last a lifetime and hopefully a couple lifetimes. Ideally, at the end of the day, you can just throw it out in the compost and then it just mulches right back in.
Hemp is something that biodegrades back into the earth. And to me, what makes sense as humans in the Anthropocene, you know, humans at any point in our existence is to not make our damage everywhere. And we've done a pretty good job at that. So to me, hemp is part of the return to a thoughtful and mindful way to clothe yourself.
It will save the planet.
It offers a way out for all of us that is durable, that is local, that is biodegradable, you know, that is alive. And that's the answer.
Change the world, change the way you live, change the way you see things, change everything.
From so simple a seed came the means to carry the whole world to and fro, and he was talking about the cannabis seed, right? Because it made the sails.
All this sailcloth that everybody sailed from Europe to America on.
They weren't nylon sails, these were hemp sails.
In the early days of the colony, it was, you know, it was required to grow it by law.
I believe that the Farm Bureau actually required each farmer to grow a 1/4 acre of hemp and a 1/4 acre of linen. You know, and if that practice had continued, we'd probably be in a lot better shape today.
And so it was a big part of our country. All our founding fathers grew it. They knew the resource was so important.
Hemp was used to pay taxes because it was that valuable to the colonies.
Every aspect of American life at that point, hemp was a part of. And as our country grew, so did hemp production.
We believe that it was the industrial potential of the cannabis plant that actually stirred prohibition in the long run.
When we look at prohibition, that was really what it was about. You had two trains of thoughts in the 20s and 30s. You had Henry Ford with his biological economy ideas, rolling out the Edsel engine with running on soy and canola oil and the hemp car, and then you had the Rockefellers and the Hearsts with oil and petroleum, and we lost. I mean, we lost the battle.
Well, they tied it with marijuana. So in that period of time, there was a war between the hydrocarbon-based society and the carbohydrate-based society, the agrarian base. So it's all purely commerce.
Plastic, one word. Plastic was also invented at the same time. And 1938, we come up with the Marijuana Tax Act, and we made it illegal. And I believe that big business and timber industry and everybody knew that this was coming.
You fund it with big money. You're gonna go looking for the evil weed, and then everybody gets cranked up to go look for the evil weed.
Yeah, it was a conspiracy, but it was just a really well done marketing campaign.
Follow the money, follow the money.
The Reefer Madness campaign, they actually created, it was a PR campaign that showed how dangerous and potentially harmful marijuana could be.
Well, did you watch Reefer Madness? I mean, you know what can happen if you smoke that shit.
Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell.
So, no wonder it's on Schedule 1.
Everyone got scared, everyone felt wholeheartedly that hemp and marijuana should be illegal, so there wasn't much backlash or argument for that move either.
Hemp should never have been a controlled substance. There was a lot of misinformation. We didn't have the education levels. People didn't know what THC was, much less how do you determine THC.
Mostly it's a Schedule I drug because it's very dangerous. You know, people start using it and they make their own fuel and they don't buy things.
And I think that's pretty much the industrialized machine and lobbyists. I think it's the same thing that happened with the oil company and roads and freeways versus public transportation, et cetera. And we've been on the sharp end of the stick.
I can tell you from being in Congress, there are very, very, very few issues that attract people from both ends of the spectrum. Industrial hemp was that one issue. When you have in Congress, in the Senate, an amendment for any issue that's sponsored by Ron Wyden and Mitch McConnell, then you've got a pretty good issue there because that's both ends of the political spectrum. And I think if we could find more issues like that in America, we'd be in a lot better shape.
So it's softened up. And so it's a time now to stand up in America. And I think if you get out there today and really look at the world as it's coming around to the hemp issue, we are becoming more enlightened. And the politicians are having to listen to us.
To get the news in December that hemp was finally legal felt like such a win for us. And it's a really exciting time to be part of the textile industry.
The Farm Bill opens us much wider for many tribes because tribes now have a seat at the table and can set their own regulatory framework for hemp.
The changing of the policies has to happen, and the Farm Bill really started the process. And we're not there yet, but I believe that it's the best start we've had in 57 years.
And one of the freedoms that we're gaining back, and that's the freedom to be able to grow this crop right here.
I think people know that we used to make fabric in North America. They had a textile industry, but we don't any longer. That was offshored in the 1980s to the 1990s, stilling mills across this country. And so now, as is America, we don't actually make anything, we just buy. You know, 70% of our economy is based on purchasing things.
We source our hemp from a really high quality producer out of China. Due to the fact that hemp has been illegal in the US for quite some time, we've been working with these Chinese suppliers who have been working with the hemp fiber for, hundreds of years. They're the experts in hemp right now. So now that hemp is legal in the US, it's this incredible first step, and it's opened a lot of doors for opportunity for hemp in the United States, but we're decades behind in terms of research and sort of building and starting and learning how to plant and learning regionally how to plant. That is just going to take a lot of time before we get something perfected.
And as we, look towards the future, I feel like a lot of individuals are taking the paradigm and the practices of industrial agriculture into this economy with the same value set and just trying to figure out how to make a buck on a plant. And what I'm going to say is a plant's not a slave. A plant is not a slave. And if we treat this plant with respect, this plant will help us change our world. If we treat this plant like they have in the last industrial economy and the last round of industrial agriculture, it won't help us.
It requires a community and a group of people that understand that we're trying to build something valuable, more valuable than money, right? So this is, what are we leaving to our kids? It's always been about the land.
And my interest is in an economy which is restorative and regenerative. Not an economy that figures out how to keep this level of consumption up or keep this basis and paradigm up.
A plant is just a plant. And, I think that it comes down to us wanting better. And, it's great to have a tool that could provide so much, but if it just becomes another rotation in a conventional corn and soybean plot, then it's nothing.
And so from my perspective, I want to be on this earth for my lifetime. I don't want to leave stuff here that's for 5,000 years. That's not right. And so I want to be part of the people that do the right thing, and we wear clothing that is not going to destroy the environment.